Okay, so I just shut it down and unplugged it. But here, as you can see on the front, you have a power button, 2 USB headers, or actually 3 of them, and audio jacks here, with a specialized restart button there. It's like a dedicated restart button, soft restart, not hard restart. This screen that you're probably, never seen anything like that on a computer before, that's a fan controller. So you hook fans up to it. You can go ahead and choose the lighting for the fans, depending on what type you hook up. And you can also see and control the different speeds of fans throughout here. Now, right off the bat, I have those 2 fans there, a fan there, fan up there. There's a fan here in front. Those are all controlled by that box because I replaced this thing here with the box. Simply because of lighting. I can always unplug them from there, plug them back into here, swap them with the performance fans, and it'll be a lot cooler. But right now, temperatures are okay, so I just keep all the fancy lighting hooked up. The fan controller too also has 2 USB ports, SD and micro SD card readers on them. We have a Blu-ray reader writer here, so that's like top of the line stuff. Down here we have a multi-card reader writer. You could do an SD card over there and a micro SD there. So you also infrared. You can control this entire computer with a remote control. So for playing movies and stuff, that comes in handy. That was definitely a good purchase. So down here we have a hard drive. It's a 1 terabyte solid state drive. I believe it's a Samsung Evo. Well, looking in there, yeah, it's a Samsung Evo, or SanDisk, I'm sorry. So, that's just one caddy. We can have 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 different hard drive caddies, and if you get the thin 2.5-inch ones, that's a total of 10 hard drives if your power supply and motherboard can handle it. So up here, this is where everything plugs in the fan controller, the DVD drive. You have the RAM back here. It's a Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. As you can see, I have 2 black, 2 white, alternate them. Really doesn't matter when the colors turn on. Basically, each one of those sticks there is 16 gigabytes. So I have a total of 64 gigabytes of RAM in this computer. And yes, I know that's ridiculous, but yeah, why not? This here is the fan that covers the processor in there. There's the processor and the heatsink. The heatsink is the copper thing in back, or the gold thing in back, I'm sorry. And basically the processor, I got a Ryzen 7 2700X, so that's, when it came out, it was pretty much top of the line. My graphics card, as you can see, Zotac Gaming version of the GeForce GTX 1660 Ti. So it's still a pretty darn good graphics card. Still, it works for my purposes. I think it's got like 6 gigabytes of DDR5 or DDR6 RAM. That's pretty crazy. We move down here. Of course, the RGB. Gotta have it multicolor like everything else. That's the that's where the power comes from. So as you can see, everything that you want to respond to the computer, you have to take it, plug it into the motherboard and the power supply, and there are a limited number of ports back here. However, it seems like my motherboard's maxed out, but this here still has a bunch of open ports available. So it's definitely a good buy. So 750 watt power supply. It's got a smart fan, so when it doesn't need the fan on the bottom of the PC to run, it doesn't run. And of course, after talking about it, that back there, that silver thing it says Steel Legend all the way in the back. The thing that everything plugs into, the thing that is probably the most important thing in the computer, is the motherboard. It's a ASRock, ASRock B450M Steel Legend. So far, I mean, it's been fantastic for me. It comes with a lot of different options here. This here is just the motherboard. So two regular USB 2.0s with an old school mouse or keyboard input right there, which is actually really cool and helpful if you break all your USB devices, but not like that's ever happened to me. DisplayPort, HDMI, and then you have, these here are the super speed USBs, and this one down here is a USB 3.1, the Type-C. So like for all the newer phones, like one of the cell phones that we have to carry at work, this one here would be perfect because you could just plug it right in. Here's a whole bunch of different audio input outputs that I never ever use. So for the graphics card, it's 3 DisplayPort, 1, 2, 3, and an HDMI right there. So when I installed this, it seems like these two up here stopped working, but I don't care because now I have the same thing plus 2 more DisplayPorts. This here is the Wi-Fi, well, it's the network card. So it's the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, everything all in one. You take the Bluetooth antenna, screw it on here, it's magnetic, so you can stick it to the top of the computer, which is really cool. And then power supply again. So overall, that's the computer I decided to build. I'm, constantly changing things, adding things, but oh, something I did forget to mention, things like this right here. Temp04. So, I mentioned that this here no longer controls these fans, as far as speed and color and things goes. That's all done with the remote control. So why do I still have it here, if it's pretty much useless unless I want to swap the fans back to performance? Well, the reason is because it does have thermometers, little thermometer probes, I guess you would call them. And you stick them in areas like this here, goes back to the RAM and the processor. You have one around the hard drive, one generally up in, a random place where there's nothing sitting for the general case temperature, and one for the graphics card. So it's very nice that I can see if my computer is about to overheat or not, or just, see what the temperatures are at. So for right now, that's the general parts overview. I'm going to be upgrading it, in just a little bit. As you can see, though, one thing I do, the last remark here, is this case. The Rosewill Challenger. I mean, it's nice, it's big. These things here are so easy to work on. I mean, to take things, put things in and out of the front of this thing here, it used to be covered with a bunch of little tiny panels. You remove all those as needed, put things like this in, and it's easy. You just, to lock it in place, to secure the thing in there, you just turn those. It's very nice, but the one huge downfall to this case is, you can see, cable management. There is none. It's just non-existent. I mean, there are cords and cables everywhere, things back there. So to trace one issue down, hardware-wise, takes a little while. So if you were, or I would, prefer to say, if I were to build another gaming PC from scratch, I would definitely get a case with a lot better cable management. I mean, it's got 2 spots back here for cords to come out. I don't really know why they would put that there and not, deal with this. But that's basically my gaming PC. And I will be working on it sometime soon to add upgrades. Can't upgrade it, too much more, but